Have you wanted one of these viral limestone trough fountains until you saw the price tag?
Holy crap.
What about DIY? Most of the DIY versions either have questionable durability or require pro-level skills to build. But I found a new way. By the end of this video, you'll know how to build this exact fountain for a fraction of the cost with no special tools and no special skills necessary. But that's not all. I'll also show you a second method using something you probably have in your trash can right now. Welcome to HAXMAN, y'all. So what's the secret ingredient? Pool noodles. And yes, you should probably question my sanity. Kim and I have wanted to put a fountain here in the yard for years, and these limestone trough fountains have that rustic look that Kim really loves. Now you can get these trough fountains either rectangular or circular. And which shape do you want?
Round.
Of course you do. Making a square concrete form is pretty straightforward, but making a circular one is, well, it can be a booger. But not if you use these. They're flexible, they're waterproof, concrete won't stick to them, and they cost about $1. They are the perfect simple solution. Now to build this mold, all we're gonna need is some pool noodles, some duct tape, and well, actually, that's all we're gonna need. Now optionally, to build this mold, you could use some of this spray foam, but I'll get into that later. You don't have to have it. First thing we actually have to do is determine the size of the fountain that we want to make. So I'm just going to tape two of these together. What do you think, Kim?
I think it's perfect.
All right, let's go lay it out there and check the size. That's about 32 inches. I don't know, that seems a little bit small.
What?
What?
For this area, I think that'd be good because that's the inside, you say?
No, this will be the actual size. This is not the mold, this is the fountain.
You always go too big.
Go big or go home. Okay, that's my motto. Like 32, 34, 36, somewhere in that neighborhood.
No.
32, 34, 36, somewhere in there.
Bro.
Somewhere in there. Normally, if you're building a round form, you'll just figure out your circumference and whatever you're using to build the form, you'll cut to that length. But because these pool noodles are so flexible and because they compress and everything, if I try that, it just doesn't work out. So the easiest thing to do is to put down the actual size, approximately, that we want the fountain to be, and we'll just figure out by laying the pool noodles around it. If you'll hold that, and then if you will hold that, see how far that comes around. And then I will hold this. Okay.
And who's gonna cut it?
How long is that right there? That is...
Wait. I'm saying 25 inches.
Oh, you're way off. 19 inches.
Hey, it wasn't too bad.
Inches.
Not too bad.
So do we say 19 inches? So just for good measure, let's eek around that on down to 20 inches.
Why?
Because it's better to go bigger is better. You just use a razor blade or whatever. I happen to have this utility knife. Oh, look how much better. That's the technique right there. That's
Smart.
it.
Oh.
Reach out and touch you now. These pool noodles are about 3 inches thick, and overall I want the height of my fountain to be somewhere around 21 inches, so I went ahead and made up 7 rings of pool noodles.
I think that's a nice height. It might be a little higher than your thing. I think that's like, what? I'm gonna guess 30 inches.
Kimberly.
I don't
30
imagine
inches.
things like you.
Holy smoke.
Shut your mouth.
Where are we at? You shut your mouth. Where are we at? Where are we at right there?
21,
What? 21 inches? With all the rings made, I went ahead and started taping them to each other to hold them in place.
Oh no.
Are some of these off? Are some of these not really the same size? I'm hoping I can pull all these out. I think I can. It's not necessary to cover the pool noodles in duct tape. You just want to get a good 3 or 4 wraps on there. I'm pretty sure this part is totally unnecessary, but I'm going to go ahead and do it just because I think it'll make it easier to remove the form once I pour the concrete. But I'm not actually pouring the concrete, as you'll see in a second.
Looks like whipped cream.
Yeah, you want to taste it?
Yeah.
Now, technically at this point, you could pour this on any flat surface. And again, I say pour, but I'm not really going to pour this. And also, I don't want to move this once we get done with it because it's going to be pretty heavy, okay? So I'm going to make it in place exactly where it's going to be. So the first thing I need to do is actually get this lined up exactly where we want it.
Let me see. You're in the way, dude.
Are you trying to line it up with that window or the garden?
Yeah, the window.
Wow, see, there's your problem. There's your problem.
Why is that?
The garden section is
I was
not
doing
lined
the
up
path.
with the
No,
window.
I was doing the path.
Oh,
not the
you got it
window.
wrong. You got it wrong.
No, I really was
You got
doing
it
the
wrong.
path. Because
Whatever.
I think that's good.
But it was not good. Because there was still much debate to be had about the placement of the fountain. Once we decided on a location, I marked that out, and then I went back with a edge trimming tool and cut out a circle so that I could have a clean edge of grass in that area. Next, I went back with a shovel and cleared all the grass out. Once I got the grass cleared out, I went back with a rake and a tamper and made sure everything was level. With the circle cut out, again, this part is optional. I think, listen, I'm winging this. I'm saying optional. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm figuring this out as I go along, okay? I'm gonna lay down some plastic. Thank you. I want a spot in this thing where I can drain the water if I ever want to drain it without having to scoop it out. Plus, for the pump that's going to go in here, I need a place for a cord. So I've got a piece of 3/4 inch PVC, and I'm going to use this for that. I'm just going to drill a hole real quick. I'm just going to, you got WD-40 or something like that, put that on there, and just kind of bring that in there. Remember earlier when I said I wasn't really going to be pouring this? Well, that's because I'm going to be hand forming this. And to do that, you could use concrete 100%, but I'm not.
Why?
Huh?
Why are you not using concrete?
Why not? Because I am always looking over my shoulder at dark clouds. There is always, constantly, the never-ending threat of rain. Well, maybe it'll blow over pretty quick. Actually, it feels better out now. And if I use concrete out here, I don't have any cover for it. If the rain comes, it could ruin it. But I have a solution. This. Mortar mix. This stuff is freaking amazing. Yeah, you can get fast setting concrete and it'll dry fairly quickly, but it doesn't have the strength of mortar mix, okay? This has like 2,500 PSI after just 1 hour, and it's gonna set up in about 20 minutes. Hopefully I can have this entire fountain formed up, filled with water, and, bubbling up through the fountain top before the rain ever hits.
So does it look like concrete when you're done?
No, honey, it's gonna look like limestone, baby.
Oh.
As it turns out, even though rain is normally my greatest enemy, today my greatest foe will be the heat. I had no idea that I chose the hottest day of the year. We are in a heat wave. The heat index today is 110 degrees. If you've watched this channel for a while, you know I never pay attention to the weather forecast before I start a project. I don't know why.
Dang, it's already set up for real.
Yeah.
So you want to use concrete?
No, I got another plan.
It really is that
Yeah,
hot.
oh, yeah, it's like 150 degrees.
Holy crap.
Try again.
The heat and humidity are causing this mortar to set up even faster, so I'm just gonna add more water and make sure it's a little bit thinner to give me more time to work with it.
Oh, that's good. That's nice.
That's a nice.
Try again.
That sounded gross.
Sounds like Taco Bell.
You had some issues. It reminded me of the Wendy's, what is it? Their soft serve. Frosty.
Frosty.
I used to love those as a kid.
What worked best was mixing this mortar to the consistency of like a loose pancake batter. That gave me plenty of time to work with it. By the way, if you want to make a rectangular fountain, I'll put a link in the description to Bourbon Moth Woodworking's video where Jason made a fantastic DIY version.
You want a paper towel to put in that hole there?
No, I don't need it. It's hot out. Ooh, girl, you got concrete up on that lens.
Do I really?
Yeah, all over it actually. All over the camera. How'd you get concrete on the camera, Kim?
I think it was you. I was just getting the angle.
Me? With the bottom of the fountain done, I can start forming up the sides along the pool noodles. And as you can see, I've gone a little bit thicker, but do be careful if it's hot and humid out, okay? I'm starting a little thicker in the bottom corner to give it some strength, but then I'm just gonna spread this up the top. And really, I only need it to be about a 1/2 inch thick to begin with. And I'm actually starting out with it pretty thin because of it setting up so quick. That way, as I'm putting it on here, you can already tell it's getting thicker. Yeah, it looks like a mess right now, but just wait till I get done. Trust the process, Kim.
I
the
trust you.
process.
I know you know what you're doing, ish.
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. There you go. Feel this. This is just like a, feel that, Kim. Well, you can't feel it at home, but Kim, you can feel that. Feel that heat come out of
It
there?
is hot.
Yeah, it's
That's
like an
crazy.
oven. So we don't want the mortar to crack, so I'm just gonna keep misting this in between coats. "30 minutes later. I think it's time we take off the mold. What do you think, Kim?
Kind of sketchy. I'm not sure.
I'm a little bit nervous. Oh yeah, I'm gonna test it out, Kim.
What the heck?
I'm gonna bump this out. Bump that out.
Ish.
Because I think it got, I think I put some stuff on top of it.
Did I tell you to put a napkin, possibly? You want a paper towel to put in that hole there?
No, I don't need it.
Okay. You attached it?
Oh, why did you let me do it that way? See, I think what happened was I went back over and I think some stuff went inside it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was why the napkin was supposed to be part of it, to close up the hole.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you should have made me do it.
I can't make you do anything.
No, you sure can't, Kim. I do the telling around here.
Oh, no, you do
I do the
not.
telling around here.
What a nice.
I'm holding a knife, you goofball.
I know you want to stick yourself.
You know, get away. All right, I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut it right on that.
You do that.
I might cut it back behind the camera. I'm gonna start behaving.
Oh my gosh. Don't scare me.
I feel like this is a dramatic moment.
Cue the music.
Cue the dramatic music.
Careful. Careful, baby. Oh my gosh. Yikes. Ooh, that scared me. Wow, that's so neat. And keep that, make another one.
Good, you absolutely can.
Wow, it looks great, babe. So when do we put the water in?
Yeah, it looks like just like what you imagined, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
So if I were to go back, I would not use this foam because really there's no point. See if I can drive this rebar through there. Well, now I put it at an angle. Oh, we're fixing to get water coming out here.
Is it going?
No, but it's got to. Okay, so you wonder how strong this stuff is? It's pretty strong. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. There goes the water.
Wow.
Look at there, look at there.
Yes. I knew you could do it too.
That's crazy.
Just keep going. It's coming slowly.
Is it?
Yeah, it's
It
moving.
don't feel like it.
Oh, snap.
Woo!
Remember earlier when I told you I'd show you another way to make one of these fountains using something you probably have in your trash? Well, behold, the cardboard box. And this is the perfect size to make a small fountain. So I've just folded the ends inside. I'm gonna flip it upside down. I'm gonna go with the 3/4 inch PVC. And I'm gonna drill a hole right here in the center on the back. Then I'm gonna use some of this silicone lubricant and I'm just gonna kind of hit that. I'm just gonna let it hang over the edge a little bit so that once this first layer sets up, the sides will have something to grab onto. You can do it all by hand or you can use a trowel, to get it, because this is the bottom. You're not gonna see this, but you do want it fairly flat.
20 minutes later.
The top, or what will be the bottom of this fountain, is now set. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this over. And now I can work my way up from the bottom and I can set this mortar right on top of this other mortar and it'll hold it. All right, Kim, why don't you come spread this?
Okay.
Give it a shot. So you might need to get a little bit wetter.
Okay.
And that way you're not having to push quite as hard.
So hot. It's so weird.
You may have noticed when I'm working on these projects that I sweat a lot. Like, a lot. And I need to replace my electrolytes, but I don't want to drink some nasty sugary drink with dyes in it. So about 1.5 years ago, I started drinking Element, long before they sponsored this channel. And honestly, it's amazing. When I'm out in the heat, I can tell a huge difference when I drink Element versus drinking water alone for my energy levels. But you don't have to take my word for it. Get a free sample pack of Element's most popular flavors with any purchase at drinkelement.com/HAXMAN. You can find your favorite Element flavor, or you could try my favorite, which is the citrus salt. Now, if you don't like it, give it away to a friend. It's totally risk-free because Element will refund your money, no questions asked. Again, that's drinklmnt.com/HAXMAN, or click the link below to get a free sample pack with any purchase.
Once we got done laying all the mortar on top of this box, it was time to add some more texture using some rocks and gravel and dirt that I just got out of the yard in the driveway. I'm just smearing this on, slapping it on, doing everything I can just to dirty this up. And then I'm gonna go back with the trowel and I'll smooth it over a little bit. To get the right look, it's all about layering on here.
Just to get a different texture. And I'm just gonna... Now, you could also use color in this if you want to use some color. I have some orange here, and I know that Kim really loves orange.
No, throw it away.
You don't want it?
No, please do
Just
not.
a little bit.
No,
Okay,
it'll be...
If you made this with concrete instead of this mortar mix, you might want to use rebar for strength, which can be, kind of a pain to deal with, or you might want to use fiberglass mesh fibers, which can also be kind of a mess to work with and can be really difficult to find. But because I used mortar, I don't actually need any reinforcement because this mortar is so strong. However, I am going to put some reinforcement, but I'm going to keep it weird, okay? I wanted to make it where this was something easy that you could go find. So I'm going to be using cement board fiber tape, and this is alkali resistant, so should work really well on here. Now, the inner part of the mortar is dry, so I'm just going to take this tape and I'm just going to wrap it around here, and then we're going to put the next layer of mortar on top of this tape.
The deep ridges on the outside of this fountain really made it easy for Kim and I to go back and finish smearing the rest of this mortar on the outside so that we didn't have that weird shape like before. Now, once we got it on there, I could go back with the trowel and really add some texture to this thing to give it that aged look. I threw some dirt and rocks on it to help further age it, and hey, we're almost there.
So that's why I like my True Works.
Nice. I was worried they were ruined.
Yeah. Time for the pump. Now, I just picked up this little tiny pump. This thing's teensy, but it's a 300 gallon per hour pump, and I think that's what I need for this size fountain. Soon we'll know for certain. The drain hole that I put in the fountain is also the hole that the cord is going to go through. So one solution I have for that, and I've seen this done different ways where people put silicone around it, and there's a gnat flying in my face. I've seen where people put silicone around it and let that dry. They put silicone around it and let that dry. But instead of doing that, I'm gonna try something else. And I went and picked up these plugs. I just got this at Home Depot. It's just a rubber stopper. I've got a drill bit here that is just a hair smaller than the diameter of the cord. Take a razor blade. Watch your fingers doing this. Next, we need the copper pipe, okay? And the way I figured out what size I needed was I simply took this piece off of the pump and took it with me to the hardware store. And they had these 2 foot long pieces of copper pipe, and that fits on there perfectly. This is 3/4 inch. And it is kind of loose, but I don't think that's really gonna matter. You could, if you wanna put something on there, silicone or something to seal it, knock yourself out. Let's go outside and figure out how tall I need this. Oh, I didn't think it was gonna go. I didn't think it was gonna go for a second. I thought, man, if I did not make that hole big enough, it was tight. Put my little plug on here. Might not work. So I went to my local garden center and I said, what do y'all use to plug the holes in fountains? And this is what they gave me. And I can't remember what they called it. They called it something, they had their own little funny name for it. But it's basically silicone putty. Something, you could probably use butyl tape. And I'm just gonna get this good and gummy. And then I'm gonna shove that around there for extra good measure. And hopefully this will work. If not, I can always just go back and put silicone in. All right, let's put the copper pipe on there. What do you think, Kim? Probably like right there.
Or shorter.
Well, you can always go shorter, but if I cut it too short, and then we want it lower, I'm scared. You could use a hacksaw to cut this if you want, but I've got a little pipe cutter that I'm gonna use. Doesn't get much easier than that.
Houston, we have a problem. There's a leak. I'll address this later. But first, I want to get some rocks and pebbles washed so that we can put these in the bottom of the fountain. These are some rocks I had left over from when we did our pond in the backyard, but you could go buy a bag of rocks if you want. I'm putting some of these bigger stones down to hold the pump in place, and then I'm just going to pour the rest of those rocks right on top. Now I can go ahead and finally fill this fountain up.
Everything's pretty much ready, except for turning the pump on, which we probably should have tried before we put all the rocks in, but let's see, I'm pretty confident in it. Here we go.
But what about the little square fountain? Kim didn't believe me when I said this box was gonna pull right out, and to be honest, I wasn't sure it actually would.
Good man.
It pulled out.
For this fountain, I used a 160 gallon per hour pump, and as you see, everything worked beautifully. But what about that leak on the big fountain? Okay, I went and bought some Flex paste because this stuff claims to dry even when it's wet, and what do you know, it actually worked. But how much did all this cost? Instead of the thousands that these fountains cost online, I had $340 in mortar, $50 in the pump, $19 in pipe, $17 in pool noodles, $8 in duct tape, and $9 in cement tape, bringing us to a grand total of $443. Now we could stop here, but I feel there's something missing, a little je ne sais quoi. So Kim decided to go back and add some flowers around the perimeter of this.
Home DIY projects don't always require expert level skills or specialty tools. The truth is, with a bit of creativity and everyday materials, you can make something that looks amazing. So after almost having a heat stroke, both of us, what do you think of your brand new faux limestone trough fountain?
I love it. It's amazing.
All right, well, I'm glad you're happy.
Yes.
Love you.
Love you.
But the question is, what other expensive home features could you do yourself with a little ingenuity and a little sweat equity? Click this video to find out, and I will see you next time.